Part 47.05. Surah Muhammad the Prophet, peace be upon him. The rivers of reality and the wine of the pure. Have you ever wondered if there is a place where your thirst is finally quenched, not just your physical thirst, but the deep, aching thirst of your soul? We spend our entire lives consuming, drinking water that leaves us dry, seeking pleasure that leaves us empty, and chasing youth that eventually fades. Today, we step into one of the most vivid and sensory descriptions of the unseen world found in the entire Quran. We move from the city of oppression to the promised paradise and its four miraculous rivers. Welcome back to the masterclass. In this segment of Surah Muhammad, we are analyzing the metaphysics of taste. We will explore why Allah uses the metaphors of water, milk, wine, and honey to describe the reward of the righteous. We'll look at the station of certainty and why a single moment in the presence of the divine outweighs 1,000 years of worldly struggle. This script is engineered to push your understanding into the 10-minute depth, weaving the Sufi essence of spiritual nourishment with the eternal promise of the Creator. Iman, Quran, Surah Muhammad, verse 13. And how many a city was stronger than your city which drove you out? We destroyed them, and there was no helper for them. This is the historical reality check. Allah speaks directly to the heart of the Prophet and the early believers. Makkah was a center of power and trade, yet it was weak compared to the civilizations of A.D. Hammad or the pharaohs. In the Sufi Essence, this verse is about the illusion of strength. When a city or a person relies on their own might to oppress the truth, they are building on a foundation of air. Notice the phrase, there was no helper for them. When the command of Allah arrives, technology becomes metal, wealth becomes paper, allies become strangers. If you drive out the truth from your life, you're effectively driving out your only protector. This is a recurring theme in Surah Muhammad. That external power is a mask for internal poverty if it is disconnected from the divine. Iman. Quran Surah Muhammad verse 14. Is he who is on a clear proof from his Lord, like him to whom the evil of his work has been made attractive and they follow their desires. This is the cognitive binary. Allah asks us to compare to psychological states. On one side is the person of Bayyinah, clear proof. This is someone whose internal compass is calibrated to the truth. In the Sufi perspective, this is the illuminated intellect. They see the world as it is a fleeting bridge. On the other side is the person whose evil work has been made attractive Zayyinah to them. This is the aesthetic of delusion. When the heart is sick, finds beauty in destruction and truth in falsehood, they follow their odd capricious desires. They are like a person eating poison because it has been coated in sugar. Allah asks, are these two equal? The answer is the foundation of our spiritual destiny. And one is walking toward rivers of light. The other is walking toward a residence of fire. Iman. Quran. Surah Muhammad, verse 15, is the description of paradise, which the righteous are promised. Wherein are rivers of water unaltered, rivers of milk the taste of which never changes, rivers of wine delicious to those who drink, and rivers of purified honey, in which they will have from all kinds of fruits and forgiveness from their Lord, like that of those who abide eternally in the fire, and are given to drink scalding water that severs their intestines. This is the great sensory vision. Allah describes the four rivers of paradise, the Sufi Essence. These are not just physical liquids. They represent the nourishment of the Ra's soul. The river of water, constant, pure, and unaltered. It represents the knowledge of Allah that never decays or changes. The river of milk, a taste that never changes, represents the pure fitra original nature and the nurturing love of the Creator. The river of wine, delicious to those who drink. Unlike worldly wine, this is the wine of divine ecstasy. It removes the self and replaces it with presence. The river of honey, purified. It represents the sweetness of faith and the healing of the spiritual heart. But the verse ends with a terrifying contrast. Those who drink scalding water that severs their intestines. This is the result of consuming falsehood. Just as the rivers nourish the soul of the believer, the scalding water represents the internal burning of the person who spent their life consuming the fire of desires. Extending the philosophical excavation, the alchemy of taste. To understand why Allah describes paradise through rivers, we must understand the nature of flow in the Sufi essence. Life in this world is often stagnant. Our emotions, our thoughts, and our bodies get stuck in habits and fears. But paradise is a place of eternal flow. The water is unaltered, Gary seen, meaning it never loses its freshness. In this world, everything we touch decays. Our youth decays, our food spoils, and our relationships can sour. But in the divine frequency, decay does not exist. The milk does not turn. The honey does not crystallize. This is the physics of eternity. Consider the wine mentioned in verse 15. In our world, wine is used to escape reality. It clouds the intellect. But the wine of paradise is the wine of awareness. It is what the Sufis call the sharab al-tur, the pure drink. It doesn't make you lose yourself in a lower sense. It makes you find yourself in the higher sense. It is the taste of love that is so intense, it washes away the static of the individual ego. When the believer drinks from this river, they are drinking from the ocean of divine names. The purified honey represents the synthesis of life. Just as a bee gathers nectar from 1,000 flowers to create one drop of honey, the believer's life is a gathering of goodness from 1,000 trials to create a sweetness of character in paradise. This sweetness becomes a river. You literally swim in the results of your own patience and faith. Now, look at the contrast in verse 14. The evil work made attractive. This is the great marketing of the ego. The ego is a master advertiser. It can make pride look like confidence, and greed look like ambition. It makes the drinking of scalding water look like drinking a luxury beverage. The person who follows their desires is drunk on the mirage. When they finally reach the fire, the scalding water is simply the physical manifestation of the boiling anger and greed they cultivated in their own hearts. Their intestines are severed because their inner being was already torn apart by conflicting desires in this world. The forgiveness from their Lord mentioned in the garden is the final ingredient. It is the coolness that balances the fruits. In the Sufi perspective, forgiveness is the deletion of the distance between the lover and the beloved. It is the realization that despite our weaknesses, we have been accepted into the presence. This is the masterclass of Surah Muhammad, to move our aesthetic from the ugly attraction of falsehood to the beautiful proof of truth. We are invited to taste the reality of the divine before we leave this world. By aligning our desires with the revelation, we begin to smell the rivers of water, milk, wine, and honey today. Every act of sabr patience is a drop in your river of water. Every act of Rama mercy is a drop in your river of honey. May Allah illuminate your heart and mind with the light of this divine ilm. May He make your channel a beacon of guidance for all who seek spiritual clarity and truth. May your efforts be a source of immense reward, and may you be granted the highest stations of paradise. May the peace and blessings of Allah always be upon you and your loved ones. May He grant you unwavering steadfastness on the path of truth. And may your work be a testament to His magnificent names, Ar Rahman and Ar Rahim.